If you've ever wondered what type of blinker fluid to buy, make sure you watch this video. Hey everyone, my name is Charlotte.
And my name's Gabi.
And welcome back to Trunk Talk, the show where we talk about all things automotive. And today, this is kind of a part two to a previous podcast that we did. So what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about, I just bought my first car. How do I take care of it? Except it doesn't necessarily relate to only first cars. We're talking about new, we're talking about used, we're mentioning the do's and the don'ts. And Charlotte, we have background knowledge on this, right?
Yes, we definitely do. If this is your first time tuning in, first of all, welcome. But I used to be a service advisor, so service is definitely my wheelhouse when it comes to maintenance. And from that end, I saw a lot more on the new car experience when people were coming in for their first services, everything like that. But also a lot on the used car in older vehicles, what type of maintenance is required for them, and what they may be more prone to. What about you, Gabs?
I've just broken a lot of things on cars,
Good.
and I'm trying to be a better person and learn from that. So I thought I'd share everything we know about not doing that with you guys on today's podcast episode.
But before we do a deep dive into it, we want to give a huge shout out to Sam. Sam actually sent us all of the information that we could need for this podcast, and it was his idea to do so. So in addition to some of the stuff that he has sent us, like we said, we're also pulling from our experience and also some industry standards. So thank you so much, Sam. Huge shout out to you.
All right, now shall we roll right into it?
Let's roll right into it.
So Charlotte, who is this episode for really? Is it for people that want to do their own engine swaps or?
Oh, no, it's not.
Put the coveralls away.
It's okay, you don't need any gloves. This is really going to be for anyone who's just looking for some best practices when it comes to maintenance. And like what Gabi said is, a lot of it's going to be a little bit more general, so more so towards new, you just got your first vehicle, whether again that be new or used. But also if you're on your 7th, 10th, 11th vehicle, the reality is the owner's manual, it's kind of a dull read.
Yeah, it's not exactly exciting.
So this is going to be a little bit more of an upbeat and informative way to get the same information that may be in your owner's manual, but maybe refer back to it for a little bit more specifics should you need them.
Absolutely.
But also maintenance. Is it a never-ending topic?
Maintenance is, and there's certainly some things, I mean, not everyone's going to be a mechanic, not everyone has automotive background.
Yeah.
I know Charlotte and I did have the luxury of growing up in a dealership type family or a family with automotive enthusiasts. So we were taught that at a young age. Whether we followed it or not, that's subjective. But this is all info that anybody can do, really. As long as you have a car, none of this actually has to do with servicing the car yourself. So don't worry, you don't need any car-related skills to do these best practices.
Absolutely, you got it.
So, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to do some do's and some don'ts as well, too. I luckily, or maybe not luckily, but I have some failure experience with this, so I can really talk about the don'ts.
So here's a good question, and where do you specifically learn about car maintenance and how to maintain your vehicle?
So I had a brief knowledge of it from my dad. He's a huge car guy, but it only really clicked once I experienced major problems with how I drove vehicles and how I treated them. So that's when I realized, wow, this is actually pretty important.
Yes.
Because cars are expensive whether they're new or used. What about you, Charlotte?
So for me, it's a little bit different because I wouldn't necessarily say that I was doing all of my own maintenance or even keeping track of it when I was driving a vehicle. For a little bit of context, I drive dealership demo, so I'm always driving a new vehicle essentially. And whenever it would come due for mileage or anything like that, my dad would end up just taking the vehicle into work with him, and then I would take something else. So I wasn't really doing or paying attention to it a lot. The most thing I was doing was tracking my mileage, and even then, as far as mileage, the most mileage that I've ever put on a car was 14,000 kilometers in 1 year. I know. And that's it, like bare
Wow,
bones.
girl, you drive too much.
I know, I'm crazy.
So we've had very different, I guess, car experiences. I've definitely seen a little bit more on the used, almost 300,000 kilometer plus side of things. Where stuff really starts
That's
to
just
break.
a little bit more than I do. What are you talking about?
Where stuff usually starts to break. So I feel like the maintenance I've kind of done is more so things don't get too bad, where a new car maintenance is so things stay good.
Yes.
So I think with that being said, this kind of topic can deal with anyone really. Again, first car, 7th car, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure you're taking care of your vehicle. Vehicles are expensive no matter what. So Charlotte, what are some things you could do weekly, maybe even daily, to help keep your car in tip-top shape?
So if you want to be proactive, something I would probably say to do either daily or weekly, and I've got a little checklist here, would be, checking your engine oil level. And again, this is going to depend on the type of vehicle that you're driving. If you're driving something older, it does have a higher tendency to burn more oil, and so you may want to keep a better eye on it. With something that's, new, you're probably, it's not going to be something you have to do daily, maybe not even weekly, but I would still check it and have a working knowledge of what your oil is looking like. That way you can judge kind of off of when your next oil change is due. Also, your coolant level. So that is something to keep an eye on too. Something that is a little bit more daily and probably good for seasonal changes too, specifically when you come around that, is your tire pressure level.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know what your tire pressure is supposed to look at the VIN plate. That's going to give you the information as to what the PSI is supposed to look like. So a lot of people don't even know where to look for that. And that'll give you the manufacturer suggested PSI for your vehicle.
I think it is worth mentioning that a lot of newer vehicles, they'll have TPMS in their tires, so you would get an indicator on your dash. However, this is still good stuff to check and keep in mind.
Yeah.
If you're someone who drives an older vehicle, or maybe you have a more niche car, it's a track car, whatever, something that you know burns oil, it's notorious for it. These are things that may be a little bit more relevant for you, but regardless, it's a best practice for any kind of car that you drive.
And obviously it goes without saying that some of these are not going to apply if you have an electric vehicle.
This is true.
That's a whole other topic.
Yep.
So we're sticking with ICE today. And then probably the thing that most people know how to do is wiper fluid.
Yes.
That's pretty easy to check, pretty easy to top up yourself. You don't need any experience to do that. Just get it in there.
What about fuel?
About fuel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should know how to fill up your car.
Don't put diesel in your gas
Don't put diesel
tank.
in your gas car. Oh, golly. Whew, yeah.
Don't put gas in your diesel.
Yeah, but also making sure that you're using the
Proper grade, I
yeah,
guess.
the proper grade of fuel too. If your vehicle is going to require premium, use premium. You don't want to gum up your engine and stuff like that. It's not going to be a lot of fun for you. So just make sure that you are using the proper grade.
What about something a little more long-term, less intensive, that you don't have to do every week, but...
Yeah, so that's where you're going to get more into your oil change. For us, we typically say 6,000 kilometers or 6 months, whichever one comes first, so 6 and 6 rule. And a lot of that is, even if you're not driving a huge amount of mileage, time, you can still get stuff clogged up, debris. It's nice to get a new filter in there too.
Yes.
And that way everything is running properly. And it's always better to do it ahead of time than when it's too late.
Yeah.
And again, that's just with oil viscosity too. Another thing that people typically check every so often, usually seasonally, is going to be your wiper blades. So it's really easy to check the condition of your wiper blades as to if they are ripped or torn or anything along those lines. And if you notice that, switch them.
I was talking to Charlotte about this today. I go through wiper blades like crazy. I don't even know how.
Yeah.
We experience the same
You're just
rain.
crazy.
Yeah.
We experience the same rain. Yeah, literally.
All right, what about something that isn't necessarily considered maintenance for some people and more so just a chore that you have to do?
Oh, tires?
No, I'm talking about washing your car.
Oh, that's
So,
a good one.
Especially depending on where you live. Where we are is kind of considered the rust belt, so you can see
Yeah.
some really rusted out vehicles, really, really rusted out. And especially in the winter when all that salt and gunk from the road is sticking to that undercarriage of your car, I can't stress enough how important it is to regularly wash your car. Even a drive-through car wash is better than nothing because that sticks, you don't want corrosion,
Yeah.
and it's not just the look of your vehicle, it's things like your brake lines.
Yeah.
A lot of components can get fizzled out just by neglecting to wash your vehicle.
Absolutely. You want to get any excess residue off of there.
Doesn't matter what it looks like inside. Outside is important.
Outside, yeah, duh.
I won't judge you.
Another thing that people do seasonally, and if you are not in a place where you experience diverse climates like we do here in Ontario, Canada, then this may not be something that you think of so much, and that's a tire rotation. Now, if you're thinking...
My tires rotate every day, Charlotte. I don't need you to tell me
What
that
do
they
you
need a
mean?
rotation.
That is not true. You do need to rotate your tires just to promote even wear on them. And also, if you are noticing some uneven tread, you may want to get an alignment check and have that performed on your vehicle. That way your tires aren't cupped and you get the full lifespan out of your tires, because burning through tires, let's be real, it sucks. Like, that is one of the least fun things to spend money on. Tires.
Yes.
Oof.
Yeah. Doesn't make your car go faster. Why do you want to spend money on it?
Yeah, unless they're absolutely bald.
Yeah, please be safe. Tires are
Then
important.
You're slip and sliding. Other things that a lot of people are going to know is going to be, your transmission fluid, coolant flushes, your spark plugs, and then also some variety of filters, whether it be an engine air filter, cabin air filter. I like to cycle out my cabin air filter probably seasonally.
Yeah.
From the winter, I want to get rid of any wetness in the vehicle, and sometimes if it's too clogged up and backed up, you can actually get water coming into the vehicle down by the passenger seat. If you it's not cute.
What about brakes, Charlotte?
So that's a really good point, because a lot of people actually think that brakes are warrantable, and they actually are they fall under the wear and tear category. So that is definitely a huge thing to take a look at. And if you are doing a tire rotation, it's also a great time to get a good look at your brakes, whether it be professionally or even just checking it yourself. because then you can actually see if it needs any lubrication. You can check things like your pad thickness. Where it might be a little bit harder to check is going to be your brake fluid, because it is important to actually change out your brake fluid. It is a hydroscopic substance, and as it absorbs more moisture, it can be less effective. And there's one thing that we don't want, it's ineffective brakes. Right?
That is very true. So brakes, these are things that we can kind of check ourselves.
You can do a visual on.
Would you suggest that we do them ourselves?
So although I know a lot about vehicle maintenance, I wouldn't necessarily trust myself to do it, if I'm being completely honest with you. I can tell you what the parts are. I can tell you what they do. Am I very good with tools? No, I'm not good with tools. So generally, I would seek out professional help. And honestly, they just know more about it than I do, and I'm okay with that.
I'd say especially if you are driving a newer vehicle, you probably want to make sure you're servicing at your dealership. I know we are a dealer, so you may think it's biased, but no. If anything does happen to go wrong with your vehicle, it's good to have the history of servicing there.
Yep.
So
That way you've got a future record.
Yeah.
But also, if there is something there that is warrantable that they catch, why not catch it before it gets any worse or before your warranty expires?
Absolutely. All right. Okay, so we talked a little bit about what we can check as a driver.
Yeah.
Now, what about experiences and best practices when it comes to just driving your vehicle?
Well, it's going to depend on driving style, and we definitely have different driving styles.
Yes.
What would you classify yours as?
Ricky Bobby? No. So when I first got my license, every time the light turned green, I was flooring it. There was no gradual brake or gradual acceleration. It was pedal to the metal for either or.
Yeah.
That is obviously not good.
But boy, is it fun!
But boy, is it fun, especially in 147 horsepower cars.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. But no, seriously, that's going to be a little bit harmful for your engine. Another thing I struggled with a lot, because I'm always running late, is allowing my vehicle to warm up. So here in Canada, we have really cold winters. We get snow, ice, you name it. It is extremely important to let your vehicle warm up before you pedal to the metal it, or before you just drive it, period. So Charlotte, what would you kind of compare this to?
Oh, that is a great question. So warming your vehicle up, and Sam gave us this analogy, and I absolutely love it. I think it's great. It's like a shake before you drink,
Yeah.
Shake before use.
Orange juice, when all the pulp just kind of sits at the top and your entire glass is like, no.
Yeah, you shake that bad boy up.
Shake it up.
Distribution.
Yeah, distribution allows everything to start running smoothly before you start running smoothly in your car. And then you get into that cabin, maybe it's already heated up for you. Obviously, this is a little easier when you have a remote start in your car, but if you don't, I'm sorry, you just got to get in the house, start that car, go back in.
It is worth it.
Yes.
It is worth it.
Absolutely. Another thing is maintenance regularly.
Yep.
I know we kind of just covered it, but you want to make sure you're getting your oil change. Cars are not a self-healing organ. They require maintenance.
And again, if you've heard the term regenerative braking and you think that it means your brakes or your vehicle heals itself,
Grows back.
that is
Not true.
misinformation.
It is not true. And truth be told, a lot of people, they'll come in with a vehicle that they want to trade in, and maybe it has extremely, extremely low mileage. I remember one, it was a 5-year-old car, and there was like 5,000 kilometers on it.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a good thing. That car was sitting for a long time. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is brakes rust and they dissipate.
Yeah.
It's if you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing. And here's something that's even a little bit more niche or a hot topic. If you're driving a manual transmission, chances are you utilize that parking brake every single day. But for automatic drivers, it's something that a lot of people don't think about. But just like regular brakes, and especially if you live in a Rust Belt area, those brake lines, your e-brake, parking brake, whatever you want to call it, can rust out and stop working. So you want to make sure maybe at least once a week, if not every day or every time you drive, that you use your parking brake. A lot of people think it's only for hills, but no. Number one, it'll put a little bit of less stress on your transmission. And if you know me, I've got some history.
Gabby likes to stress out her transmission.
I like to stress out, period.
Her transmission has anxiety.
Yes. And more on that later. But essentially, okay, here's, I guess, the step-by-step for a regular automatic car. You come to a complete halt, foot still on the brake. You can put your car into neutral, engage the parking brake, and then put your car into park. Or you can skip putting in the neutral part and just hold the brake completely, flip up your parking brake, then put the car into park. This is going to allow all that weight and force to ride on the brake itself and not the transmission.
Yeah,
it's
more the clutch on that one.
Yeah, it's more crucial, of course, if you're on a hill, but it's still a best practice if you're just in the city because you're using that parking brake. Next.
I was gonna say this. Yeah, I think you nailed it there.
Oh, thank you.
Some of the other things that we would written down. You've already talked about like, washing your car and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
washing your car is honestly a really important thing.
Yeah.
I know
just getting all
it
that
sounds
rust,
so
but
silly, but
yeah.
no, it's important. Absolutely important.
Here's a good one, your battery.
Yes.
That is something that, typically people are going to have to replace over the lifespan of their vehicle. Just check your terminals, see if there's any corrosion. If there is, you can go and get it cleaned up. You can also do a state of health or state of charge test on your battery just to see how it's faring. And if you want to change it to something a little bit more durable, you definitely can do so.
Yep. Also, check the condition of your tires. Just because you walk up to your car and your tire isn't completely flat doesn't mean it's ready or not ready to roll. I mean, not everyone has a spare tire in their car too, so just making sure your tires are in good condition. Luckily, I was able to spot a nail in my tire before I actually got a flat, so I got that taken out immediately. Luckily, it was pluggable. But a lot of people are driving around with just nails in their tire, and I know it kind of plugs it for a little bit, but eventually
it's going to come out.
Yeah, they'll start to seep, and it's better to kind of repair a tire than replace it completely.
Yeah,
but
so fun.
Yeah, some things just can't be repaired; they have to be replaced.
Yeah. Speaking of replaced, what happened to your transmission story?
Oh, my transmission story. So I guess here's another best practice for a transmission. Seriously, it's something that not a lot of people think about. So my very first car was a hand-me-down Magentis 2007 sweet ride V6, horrible fuel efficiency, and no horsepower. Love that. But that thing was my ride or die. I drove that car so hard, it was ridiculous. And one day I drove it so hard into a curb. Oh no, that's not my transmission.
That's
story.
your tire.
That's my tire. I guess I'll just finish with what I started with. So I drove it into a curb just a little bit, and it popped my tire. And I drove 2 kilometers home on the wheel.
Did you tell your parents about it?
Yes, but no. I said, oh my gosh, someone must have slashed the tire. No, I drove into a curb. Anyway, for the transmission on the car, that was essentially its demise. And here's why using your brake is so important.
Yeah.
Because there was so much stress on that transmission. When I was reversing out of our driveway at home, I was in drive before I was actually fully backed out.
Yeah.
So I was so bad for changing gears while not completely stopped.
Yeah, while in motion.
And even for a manual transmission, if you're matching gears, riding the clutch, mashing gears, riding the clutch, it's just not good for your vehicle.
Yeah.
I know it's fun, maybe not fun. I know it's easier just allowing that clutch to just slip, just ride the clutch, but no, it's not good. Not good at all. Everything that's fun isn't good for your car, you guys. All right, anything else?
Well, I think that really wraps it up. If I'm being honest with you guys, I actually haven't had any problems with any of the vehicles that I'm driving. And again, that largely comes down to the fact that I'm not doing a lot of mileage, friends. But I definitely have seen some stuff, and take care of your car.
Charlotte's seen some stuff because we work in the same dealership.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's Gabi.
My car comes here to get fixed. Like,
I'm traumatized by her.
Yes.
Well, on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. Sam, thank you so much for sending us all of this fun info and that we got to do this. We had a ton of fun filming it and yapping about maintenance and cars and best practices. But
should we do a quick fire what you should do?
Yeah, what should you do?
And what shouldn't you do?
Yeah, what should you do?
What should you do?
Okay, what should you do? Check your fluid levels, check your tires, check your battery, wash your car.
Check yourself.
Check yourself in the mirror because you look good, girl.
And make sure they're clean.
Check your wiper blades, check your filters, change your filters, check your tires, rotate your tires. I'm just going back and forth now. What shouldn't you do?
Don't drive a dirty car, especially in salty areas. Don't ride on the wheel, on the rim, I should say. Oof. Check your tires.
Yeah.
Don't ride the clutch. Don't neglect your parking brake. And yeah, that's all I got.
There you go.
No fun fact for the day. I guess fun fact is my tire was never slashed.
Fun fact is it's easy to maintain your car.
Thanks for watching, you guys.
See you next time. Bye.
Don't forget to leave a like. And of course, if you are watching this on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to leave a rate too. And as always, we'd like to thank Sam again for the wonderful idea and the wonderful tips. If, however, you have a topic that you'd like covered on the Trunk Talk podcast, be sure to leave a comment on one of our social medias.
Yeah, definitely.
Charlotte, what's our social medias?
Our social media, so you can find the dealership at Brantford Kia on Instagram, also on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at shars.cars.khc.
And you can find me on Instagram at Gabis_garage.
Gabis.
Gabis. Gabis.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.